This is an update on a video that I did in the past regarding Nature Boy. The update consists of me at that time somewhat having compassion towards the naive and ignorant followers of Nature Boy. But the more I watch and observe and I listen to them, I don't feel sorry for them. I have no sympathy for them whatsoever. And they deserve everything that they get. Now, I'm going to refer to them as characters because to me, they're characters. But I want to mainly talk about Olmec and EJ. Olmec is the dude that had his dress pulled out, and he got beat up and he was looking sad and pitiful. And then EJ was the one that always, the female that always had to get in front of the camera and talk. She was the most talkative among all the other females. Now, EJ was Olmec's wife. Now, I'm not sure if they were legally married or if they're just saying that they're married, being that they are following these strange doctrines. So if they are legally married, she is still his wife. From observing the videos and just by the mere fact that she was always in front of the camera, she always had to talk, even when she was making videos where her so-called husband, Olmec, he can talk and then she would overtalk him to get her point across. She had no respect for him. Now, he looked like a good dude, but he's weak. Now, recently, they broke up. And I knew that breakup was coming because I always had a feeling that Nature Boy was sticking her. She had a thing for Nature Boy because he was demonstrating that authority type image. He was a speaker. It's the same type of energy or spirit that you see in a lot of churches. Where the preacher's in the limelight. He's got all the women going. He's got people shouting and crying and carrying on. And you got women that's drawn to that type of attention, because it puts them in the light like they are men. These are authoritative figures. And these females become dizzy and drawn into that. And before you realize it, they drop in trial. They drop in their pants before this dude. This dude is banging them. See, that's what happens in a lot of the churches, right? So I had a feeling that was happening because whenever Nature Boy was up talking, EJ was always extremely attentive. She never cut him off. She never disrespected him. She always referred to him as master teacher, like all of them do, but there was something different about the way she talked about him. And while he was speaking, you can see in her eyes that she was in awe. So I knew right then and there that he was sticking her. But because Olmec, which supposedly was her husband, was so committed and dedicated to his master teacher, he was blinded by the fact that his wife was being screwed. Now, maybe he did see it and he ignored it. That's what happens a lot of times when, dudes don't stand up and be men and they submit themselves to another man, which refer to himself as a religious leader or a spiritual leader. And you're calling this man master teacher, or you're calling this man your whatever. And he's watching you. He's watching your wife. Your wife is watching him. He comes to you with religion and spirituality. And if you notice, there are cases when a husband and wife will have a disagreement. The first thing the wife says is, well, we need to go to counseling. We need to call the pastor. And she's always ready to get on the phone to call another man to tell on you. Now, if that dude is not a man, he's going to submit to that female telling him to go to the pastor. And when they go to the pastor is sitting there listening and watching your problems. So the wife is telling on you, oh, he's no good in bed. He's never there. He's working all the time. He don't pay no attention to me. And she's allowing this pastor to see into your bedroom, into your life. So that pastor, if he's a snake, and in many cases, preachers are snakes because they're false preachers. They're not real. So they're snakes. So he's sitting there listening, watching your wife, and then watching your reaction. And when he sees that you are less than a man, before you realize it, he's going to be calling your wife, sister such and such, I'm just calling to see if everything's okay, how things. Now keep in mind, he's not calling the husband. He's calling the wife. And she may see him at the supermarket. How you doing, pastor? Or in this case, how you doing, master teacher? Right? So he see that, and before you realize it, this man is screwing your wife in the name of whatever religion or spirituality you believe in. Right? So I clearly saw that coming. So now they broke up, and there's a video, which I'm going to take the link and put it on the bottom, and you guys watch it for yourself. There's a video where she's like, I guess, explaining what happened, right? And she was just tired. It wasn't real, and she was young and all this nonsense she's saying. But then this other video, she referred to him, Nature Boy, as her husband. So now Nature Boy is supposed to be living a polygamous lifestyle with 3 females. And there's a new one that's in there. There's a new female there. Now, in that video that I'm going to post on the bottom, at the end of that video, you're going to hear when that female, that new one, when she speaks, she's going to give herself away. Because she's going to talk about women and women having a relationship with women. And then she's going to cut her eye at Nature Boy. Right? So that chick, like everyone else, so she should feel comfortable, she's a snake. And she's not there for Nature Boy. She's there for the limelight, and she's there for those females. Right? She's a snake. She's got her own hidden agenda for being there. Right? But EJ, just watch now, EJ is in the center. They positioned her in the center because I guess she's now the main wife. Right? And you don't hear anything about Olmec. Now, Olmec's got a video out there. This is like a soap opera. Olmec now has a video out there. And he seems sad, and in a way you kind of feel bad for the dude, right? But he's like talking about their breakup and the universe, and he's still referring to Nature Boy as master teacher. And then he had the audacity to repeat something I heard Nature Boy say when it comes to people referring to them as a cult. He said, yeah, we're a cult. And then he started trying to break down cult as culture, right? So I hadn't heard much about him. I hadn't seen any recent videos about him. Maybe he's starting to wise up. But there's a time, listen, brothers, there's a time when dudes should stand up to be a man. There's a time for men to stand up to be men. You can't always be passive and submissive to a religious leader. I remember when I first started going to church, right? And there was a couple of incidents like this that occurred, and the second time I had to go address that preacher. Well, this time when I first started going to church, me and this young lady I was dealing with, we went to church. I talked her into going to church with me because we both was hitting the clubs. I had my little party I was a player and all this good stuff back then. But then I, had that calling, so to speak, right? So went to church, and I convinced her to go to church with me. So she went with me, and we were sitting there, and there was a preacher in the pulpit that kept watching her, right? And she would move to try to adjust herself, like behind the plants that's, up on the pulpit. And every time she moved, he would move so he can see her. He can watch her through the plants, right? And she like kind of nudged me to let me know. See, that's when your woman talks to you, brothers, when she lets you know, when she don't keep secrets from you, you got yourself a good woman, man. You take care of her, man. That's your queen, man. You treat her like she's a queen, like the queen she is, right? These women are rare nowadays. She told me about this guy was watching her. And I said, okay. So I started watching him, right? And she moved, and he would move along with her. Well, long story short, after church, I had to confront the dude. I had approached him, and he tried to play dumb, of course. Oh, no, I would never do that. You know how they are, right? But it made her feel uncomfortable. And she had not been back since. Another time that happened to me in church, my son's mom, we sitting there. Well, actually, she came and told me that this certain preacher kept watching her. And she kept moving and adjusting herself. And he kept, every time she moved, he would move so he can see her. And he was sitting there watching. Well, I had to confront that dude. But I got him away from the church. I said, I got to talk to you for a moment, man. Let's go somewhere. And, and so we went. And when I got that dude away from church, I had to put him in his place, And of course, oh no, I would never do that. From that point on, he never said a word to her. He'd walk right by her. Because I noticed in church, he would walk up and when I wasn't around, he always had the whole conversation with her. Brothers, watch out for these snakes. He always had the whole conversation with her. He always had to play with my son. That's when my youngest son was a baby. And he always got to try to play with my little son, and make faces at him. And, hey, how you doing, little man? And stuff like that. And when I come around, when he see me coming, he always kind of like, all right, well, you take it easy. He go on about his business. But when I'm around, he never have much to say. But when I'm not around, he's got everything in the world to talk to her about. So I had to call him out. Got him away from the church. Had to put him in his place. From that point on, he never said a word to her again. Now keep in mind, he was a married man. But he was always watching my son's moms. Right? So you got to watch. There's a time where men have to stand up and be men. You just can't be humble, meek, and docile, man. There's a time and a season for everything. And Olmec, if you're listening to this video, if that's your legal wife, if you guys legally married, man, I'm not talking about your boyfriend and girlfriend and you're playing married. If that is your wife, you need to go get your wife, man. Go get your woman, right? And if she refused to come, then you leave her right there and you get a divorce. You divorce her. If that's your legal wife, divorce her, man. But you can't just sit down and just do nothing. If that's your woman, man, you have to stand up, even if it means confronting Nature Boy. You have to go and deal with him man to man. Yo, look, bro, I don't like the fact that you and my wife is seeing each other right now, Of course, she made her choice and decision to go her way. But that just goes to show that he has always had his eyes on your girl. And while you were calling him master teacher and you was always in the background looking humble and scared and meek, he was screwing your wife. If that's your legal wife. And if that's not your wife, he was screwing your girl, man. And so you need to handle your business, bro. Olmec, you need to handle your business. You need to confront Nature Boy. Now, if you're scared of Nature Boy, that's a different story. That's a different story. But Nature Boy and EJ did him completely wrong. But I don't feel sorry for any of them because they put themselves in that situation. They turned their backs on their families and people who cared about them the most. Even people that tried to give some type of insight and advice and let them know or warn them that you need to get out of that situation, they ignored you. And they continually followed that nature boy, as he called himself. So I don't feel sorry for any of them. My original video, I take back what I said. I don't feel sorry for them. And I don't refer to those females as young ladies like I did in my original video. You reap what you sow, and you deserve everything you get. Now, this is what I think is going to happen, the end result, if they don't wake up. Somebody's going to end up being murdered. Watch what I tell you. Somebody is going to end up being murdered. And I can almost see who it is. I can see clearly who it's going to be. Somebody is going to end up murdered. And Nature Boy might end up doing it. So I hope I'm wrong. And it could be the other way around. Somebody can end up taking Nature Boy out. But somebody's going to end up losing their life. And I see one individual that might end up dead as a result of what's going on. So, feedback, tell me what you think, subscribe. Until next time, I'm fearless.